Welcome into our Cubs recap podcast. The Cubs fall to the Milwaukee Brewers in the deciding Game 5 by a score of 3-1. I'm David Kaplan. That's Ryan McGuffey. That's Gordon Wittenmeyer. That is our team. We've been with you after every postseason game. And guys, I mean, I'd like to complain. When you get 4 hits, 1 solo home run, you're not going to beat quality baseball teams.
We said it coming into this game that the way the momentum had shifted, we wanted that first inning trend to continue. Whatever they did the rest of the game, they needed the first inning trend because that was going to, what you call it, Guff, something about the sphincters. That was going to be that was going to put the final pressure on the Brewers. Instead, for the first time in the entire series, they didn't score in the first inning, and they got behind instead. The Brewers scored in the first inning, and it looked like all that momentum that had built the last 2 games was suddenly turned the other way.
Yeah, but I mean, Seiya grabbed it right back with the solo shot, and it's like, okay, all right, we're back to Steven here. But what happened, what I thought was, and we've been saying it the whole series, the inability to have traffic outside of Game 4, they had no traffic. And then the one time they had traffic tonight, you had first and second, nobody out. And it was like, here it is. This is the hit you're going to need to tie the game at 2:00. I can't believe I'm sitting here watching Andrew Vaughn being interviewed in a postseason series that just clinched.
Unbelievable.
And you're thinking like, okay, here we go. The dam's going to break now. And the whole night you were waiting for that to happen. The Cubs had no traffic. They had the Seiya homer.
I take that back. They had a big at bat with Kyle Tucker at the plate. And this is not me being a hater. You want to get $400 freaking million with first and second, nobody out, and you don't even move them along? Bye-bye. I'm moving on.
Swing and a miss.
Struck out. You don't even get in scoring position because Seiya's line drive fly ball to the warning track to Churio would have tied the baseball game. He had a completely unproductive at bat.
Yeah.
And even his last at bat, it was rollover ground ball, head down, meander to first base.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in here saying goodbye, Kyle Tucker, goodbye. There's a lot of people saying, we have fire everyone. That was a dead ass team. It wasn't a dead ass team. It wasn't. Who
said that?
You have to go all the way back up. We already had some of it here. Like here, year after year, same shit. So much for that. Fire everyone. What an embarrassment.
Right. I mean, that's just a stupid comment.
Dead ass team. Here you go. I mean, so
that was not a dead ass team. That was a team that got out pitched tonight. They did a great job. That team battled. They competed. They tried. They got beat by a 97-win team.
You know what a dead-ass team would have been, guys? If they tucked their head between their legs after going down 0-2 and ended it in 3 games at Wrigley. That would have been a dead-ass team.
Look, the problem is they weren't good enough. They weren't good enough to beat the top team or 2 in the league. We thought halfway through the season they might have been one of those top 1 or 2 teams in the league. And this goes back to, and some of our viewers here have already pointed this out. This goes back to that trade deadline. I thought the Kittredge inning, when they extended the lead, summed up everything that went wrong since that great first half. This is the guy you went out and got. This was the best guy you went out and got at the deadline. You should have gone more aggressive. You should have made this a better team. You should have had a lot more depth. And they didn't. Other teams did, and that's the problem. It's not that they didn't. It's the industry standard.
All the teams that did big stuff at the deadline are all freaking
That's not the point, Cap. This team isn't there because they didn't make themselves better. This team had a chance. This team had enough pieces. They were good enough. They needed more. They needed something at the deadline. They were in position that they could have been players deep into October. They won a series. They took this to 5 games. What if they had actually gotten a pitcher, a starting pitcher that didn't break down in his first start? What if they had actually gotten real help like some other teams did because of where this team was positioned? Had they done that, I think the outcome of this series is different.
I'm not sure I agree with you. They didn't get out pitched in this series. They got out hit in this series. That's the bottom line.
They got both tonight.
I think they got both, Cap. I mean, you made a bogus decision in game 1 to go with a guy on 3 days rest who, quite frankly, is showing
that wasn't a lack of talent. That was a stupid decision by the manager.
It was. But you know why? Because he's looking at the rest of his going, who do I go with? I don't have that guy that you could have got, whether it was Merrill Kelly or insert starter's name here at the deadline. Literally insert starter's
Tell me
name
what
here.
starters got moved that would have made a big difference. This was not about money. That is a better run organization in Milwaukee. Stop with the goddamn money. It's not about the money. They spent $110 million more than the team that beat their ass.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the GM, the team president, sat on his ass at the trade deadline relative to other teams that were in this thing and relative to what he needed. And that had nothing to do with money. It had to do with what he was willing to move.
That's a different argument.
Littell didn't make enough money that he would have made a difference in a payroll. Wasn't an ownership decision.
You can put that guy Brad back up here. I didn't talk any trash.
I don't know
Brad
where
can stick it where the sun don't shine.
Cap, look at the teams that are left. The LA Dodgers, who spend more than anything, and they'll keep spending until they won't. Okay? I'm going to table the Brewers for a second. I'm talking about the Chicago Cubs, the LA Dodgers, the Seattle Mariners, who went out and got Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, and they needed to carry their offense, ride that wave into the
Suarez was terrible.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are they in the ALCS or not? They
did something that the Poto doesn't typically do. They went out and added real players that helped that lineup. That put them over the top in a very tight series, the other tight DS series. Those were the two series that went 2-2. They were both tight game 5, and the Mariners are the ones that went out at the deadline and added the players that put them in a position to put them over the top, and the Cubs didn't.
And the Blue Jays are also a team that's willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. They've tried to get every free agent under the sun to come to Canada. They're not afraid to make a move at the deadline. The Cubs sat on their hands. It's not about spending $110 million. It's not about spending $110 million more than the Brewers can. It's about being fiscally more responsible. And maybe the Brewers don't have the assets, but they have the talent in the front office that runs laps around the Chicago Cubs. They got rid of Cody Bellinger and said the money will be spent, and they kept it. They didn't spend that money. They didn't reinvest it into the club. The team sat on their hands. Andrew Kittredge, I thought, was left in 2 batters too long as it was. And when PCA made the diving catch, I would have yanked his ass then. But I don't know who you're going to. And that's the problem. It's because you don't have anybody. You just don't, because you went too early. They went to Colin Ray, who everybody in this entire chat who'd been bitching about, where's Colin Ray? Colin Ray pitched well tonight. He gave up one. He threw one pitch too many, and it cost him. It shouldn't. Colin Ray pitched really well. They didn't go to Savale. They didn't go to Shota. I'm okay with that. The Brewers pitched the Cubs tonight. Mizorowski was really good again.
He was excellent. But again, you can tell me all about what Seattle did. The Cubs outspent them by $36 million. Again, the Cubs didn't.
This is not about how much you spent before the season. At the deadline, the Seattle Mariners went out and said, we're going for it. We're going for it. And they made moves. They made 2 separate moves with the same team, even though they tried to do it in one deal. They got Josh Naylor, and then they said, damn it, we want the other guy too. You weren't willing to package them both. We want them both, and they got them both. I don't care what the payroll looks like, Cap.
And the Cubs were arguably in a better position, a position to think they had more of a right to think about late October.
Cubs spent Here's Mo. Cubs spent $100 million more than other teams, but the Dodgers spent more than all the teams, and they're in the playoffs every year. Plus, spend money, don't spend money. You had a chance at the deadline to do something, and you didn't.
That's a different argument. That's prospect hugging. I got no problem with you calling it prospect hugging, but there's all these people. They got to spend more. The Brewers spent $110 million less and beat
Those are
your
different
ass.
conversations.
They do a better job in player development. They do.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That Cubs offensively tonight.
By the way, so do the Dodgers. Dodgers get more out of the bottom of the first round than anybody else does.
There's no question about it.
Swanson was terrible this offensively tonight. Kyle Tucker, terrible offensively tonight. Same haves and have-nots. You got Michael Bush got a single. Nico hit the ball really hard. He hit it on the screws late in the game and just unfortunately hit it right to somebody, right to the third baseman. What can you do there? It was the same top-heavy Cubs line. They had three dudes that basically performed. Seiya was pretty good during the playoffs. He disappeared for 2 games, show up with a home run, disappear for 2 games, show up with a home run. But for the most part,
It was fine.
Gordon, this lineup, honestly, it disappeared the entire playoffs. And the fact that we're sitting here on October 11th and breaking them down is rather surprising because offensively they weren't very good.
No, and God, when we were doing these podcasts in June, July, I mean, when watching these All-Stars head to Atlanta for the All-Star game, what were we thinking then? Who would have pictured this as how they got bounced?
Right.
Yeah,
No doubt.
Michael, your comment about Swartz and Naylor wouldn't have started on the Cubs. It's not about the Mariners went out and acquired 2 players to upgrade on their own team so they could be better. This is not about, well, the Cubs should have gotten Swartz and Naylor. It's about the fact that
they should have got more pitching. They needed more pitching. And what kind of difference might that have made across this series?
I don't know what AP is saying that they didn't need pitching because
they needed to add more pitching. No question about it.
Yeah.
Again,
everyone,
it's not a financial thing. It's a prospect hugging thing. It's a philosophical difference that I have with them when Carter Hawkins has the goddamn gall to say we got to worry about the 2032 Cubs. You can stick that comment where
literally said that.
Everyone's sitting here glazing over their prospects and Cade Horton. And Cade Horton was worthy of it, but the second he went down, the Cubs had nothing. They had nothing to back them up. Andrew, great point. First and second, nobody out. 3, 4, 5 coming up. You didn't even get Cap's point to start this thing off. It wasn't even nothing. You weren't even able to move the runners.
Yeah.
Like you didn't even have
a ball game right there.
Not have productive outs. And make sure you join us. Level up. Become a member of the recap. We're going to have this kind of talk and a lot more behind the scenes for the members who are a part of this fine channel. But yeah, that's why I like you look at the fact that the Cubs played 8 games in the postseason, guys, 8 games. And you put it up when you look at it as a whole, offensively, they were garbage.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. You know, they've got their 22-year-old guy, Jackson Chourio. Jackson Churio's a freaking superstar. Our 22-year-old, 23-year-old guy, Matt Shaw, he's not ready for prime time yet at this level.
I'm not blaming Matt Shaw. You have the guys how about your $177 million shortstop?
How about your $17.5 million top 10 player that you traded 3 guys for?
And if I'm not mistaken, if I added this up right, that Gold Glove middle infield committed 3 errors in this series.
Yeah.
I don't think that cost them the series, but they didn't play as well. The issue is you talked about that lineup not doing enough in the postseason, not scoring. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But what does that do? We know that. We talk about that going into the playoffs. You're going to have a harder time scoring runs. That underscored the need for a team that was short on pitching depth to add pitching at the deadline that they did not add.
Yeah, I felt they needed to add another bullpen arm. That was what I was disappointed in.
They should have added a better starter or another starter, maybe as well, maybe both.
Yeah, I wanted a high leverage reliever. There wasn't a starter really that I desperately wanted that moved, but I wanted a high leverage reliever. They were moving all over the game. That's what
I wanted both. I wanted because to me, you needed insurance, and that's why you add arms. You just stock arms.
You add arms. That's the thing. If you add a starter, you get bullpen help because somebody gets kicked to the bullpen.
And I mean, I didn't even love the fact Drew Pomerantz has been fantastic this postseason. He's one of the best stories in the Cubs this year. I didn't love the fact that they went with the opener tonight. I didn't like. I'm not saying that in hindsight either. He gave up a solo shot to Contreras. I would have just come right out of the gate with Colin Ray and gone with it. But and this is why they didn't have that. They didn't have somebody that was a surefire thing where they can go. I mean, we talked about this the other night, guys. They had Ray, they had Savali, they had Shota, all on full regular rest. 3 guys who were starters this season, and they felt good about none of them. That's the way I look at it. They felt good about none of them.
Well, that's because they wanted to go with Pomeranz to handle Yelich. I'm trying to remember. I have to look
that's
at
because they're piecing it together, Cap. That's because they didn't feel great about anybody.
That's all I'm saying.
But the Brewers did the same thing.
But the Brewers didn't have anybody. The Brewers truly did not have a starter on regular rest tonight. The Cubs held the advantage. They did. That's my point, is that Counsell got outmanaged again by outmanaging himself. You should have just fucking started Colin Ray and just let it ride.
I could be fine with that.
When I saw
it made a difference. It was a
no, it wouldn't have made a difference.
It was
a difference.
But why couldn't you have started Mizorowski then, Ryan?
Because Jacob Mizorowski, Cap, has shown in the second half he wasn't the guy that made the All-Star team, even though he should have, in the first half. And I talked to people in Milwaukee.
8 innings in this series, he was freaking sensational.
Yeah, and if you talk to anybody in Milwaukee, which I did when I was at the ballpark, they said that guy wasn't capable emotionally handling a postseason start, that he could come in at home and handle multiple innings, but he couldn't handle the pressure of doing it at the start. And
okay, let me ask you a question. Who's telling you that? A fucking media guy? That's a bunch of horseshit. That kid stepped up to 104 the other night, stuck it up the Cubs' ass, and did it again tonight.
That kid.
Horseshit. 3 people who cover the goddamn team that you know all year. No. You're going to come at me like this? I'll come right back at you. I did talk to multiple people in Milwaukee. And you know what?
All I know is he was magnificent.
Your fucking team's going home tonight, dude. And Jacob Mizorowski is wearing.
I'm out. See you later.
Are you serious? You're going to yell. Fine. See you later. You're going to yell. Wow. Okay. We'll keep going, Gordon.
Jacob Mizorowski.
What did I do? He came at me, dude.
Yeah. We know how he wears his emotions on this stuff. I
understand he's upset.
That's not
upset the way the Cubs played.
Him and the emotions of tonight. That's what that is. Your point on Mizorowski is well founded. When he had that moment in Game 2, that might be a career moment for him, a career building moment for him, because he came in, did the job. He had all that emotion in the biggest moment of his life, and he turned a corner that he had not turned this year, which is why they didn't start him.
Right. And honestly, that is exactly what I was told in the 2 games I was in the press box by people who cover the team and people who – there was one guy who worked for the team because I was asking him about Andrew Vaughn. And I said, why not Mizorowski at Wrigley? He was like, dude, there's no chance. They're going to bring Mizorowski at Wrigley Field. There is 0 chance. He can't handle it emotionally.
Yeah, so, I think that's garbage. I do.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just –
I think he showed it. I think he showed it in the second half, what he can handle and what he can't handle. He had a meltdown. His last appearance in the regular season, they brought him in out of the bullpen. He had a couple of misplays behind him, bad contact. He did his job, but it didn't get done behind him, and he melted down after that. He gave up the runs after that. So it kind of tells you where he was at. I think again, the way they played him, the way they used him, and what they got out of him in Game 2, especially, and at the end of this, could change his career. Could be
7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. Those people that told you that are idiots.
How they used him and matched him up? Yes.
Yeah. Did he start a game in the playoffs?
Okay, came in the 2nd inning. Big freaking deal.
Okay, moving on. That's almost. Did he start a game? That's what I was told. He didn't start a game. It matched up with their information. He shoved it up their ass. Fine. Can we move on from Jacob Mizorowski? Because it wasn't about Jacob Mizorowski.
Whenever you're ready.
You're the one still kept. I'll go away happily. I'll just sit here and wait.
Do we?
What's wrong about? What about your team? Is this a successful season? I know what you're going to say, Cap.
Like if you'd have,
it was a decently successful season, but when you outspend someone by 100 and whatever million, and they beat your ass and they win the division 3 straight times, no.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's a fair analysis. Yeah. I mean, I would say that going into the season, if you'd have said they win a playoff series and they're playing in Game 5 of the DS, and you didn't even say who it was against, and you didn't even say what the outcome is, you might have considered that a success. You might have. I don't know if I do. Certainly where this team was halfway through the season, this is not a success.
I mean, look, they beat the Padres, who were all in at the deadline. They got this thing to 5 games. Anyone that thinks this team quit tonight, like Chase, this guy Chase here, he's saying the team quit. They didn't quit. They got beat by a better team, period.
And if you're going to put that on somebody in Chicago, put it on the front office.
It's the only place it should go. I do think there should be accountability amongst the players. You know, Kyle Tucker was not good. And I want to ask you guys about Kyle Tucker in a second. Swanson was – I'm talking about – we already talked about it. Offensively, for 8 games, they were really bad. I haven't gone through yet to look at what they were with runners in scoring position for the 8 games, but I guarantee you it was under 200.
Well, you talked about traffic earlier. The biggest problem was opportunities with men in scoring position.
That's true.
More than so you pile up those and you'll get runs.
They chose to prospect hug. That's my problem with them.
Yeah.
Why was Moises Ballesteros on the roster in the postseason? He got what? 2 at bats?
Yeah. And why wasn't Javier Assad? Quite frankly, I think you probably needed him.
Yeah, that one I never understood.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we all agree on, I think, was that the only reason Michael Soroka was on the roster is because they traded for him.
That may be true. That may be true. That's a good point. I
remember when I last saw him. Game 1 or 2.
But either way, who do you need more? And it doesn't. I don't think at the end of the day, Javier Assad was changing the result of this series.
No,
I don't. This is a bigger picture. There's not a guy. Cade Horton is the only guy that could have changed this series, and he was injured. That's it.
No, you're right.
That's it. And like, we're frustrated here. We're frustrated with each other because we're frustrated with this team, and we're frustrated with the organization because you had a chance to actually truly play for a pennant, and you let it get away.
You know, just observing this, the most aggravating part of that when you observe the front office's behavior is they were aggressive and they went after it in the offseason. When you sign or when you trade for Kyle Tucker, that's an aggressive move. That transformed your lineup and your team, and it showed in the first half of the season. Yeah, we know he got hurt. Yeah, we know he wasn't the same in the second half. But you were in position because of that move in large part, and some of the pitchers that came along. You were in position, and then you stopped. That's the thing. And Cap, you call it prospect hugging. I'll give you that. It was egregious. That's malpractice.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a starter out there you could get. The good starters were to cost you Cade Horton and Shaw and
relievers. Add arms.
Relievers is where I would have added.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was wrong. Which arms? But they needed more arms.
Patrick Lee, the Cubs haven't developed a prospect since Mark effing Grace. That's just a dumb comment.
Steele, Cade Horton.
How about the 2016 Chicago Cubs, Gordon?
How about those guys? Well, I've said this before. I still think Chris Bryant developed himself. You know, for wherever you think that might have gone.
Okay, fine. Javi Baez, Kyle Schwarber, Albert Armor, Addison Russell,
Kyle Hendricks,
Contreras.
Contreras for sure. For sure. There's a list.
Yeah, that's an asinine. That's just like a see if it sticks comment because I don't.
And I threw the pitchers out there on purpose because that was the criticism for so long, and they've started developing pitchers. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due, but you also got to. It's fair to point out where they didn't do the job.
This is an interesting comment right by Dan here. This roster as is overachieved.
Well, I don't think they thought Michael Busch would be a 34 home run guy.
I thought they thought he'd be a good player. Maybe
I think Nico achieved what they expected. I think Dansby achieved what they expected. I think Shaw underachieved. I think Happ underachieved. PCA clearly overachieved. Saya probably overachieved. Carson Kelly clearly overachieved. Cade Horton, you didn't know what you're getting. He was top 10 pick.
Matthew Boyd overachieved. You know what? That comment's pretty good.
Yeah.
Ryan, didn't that what Jed said at the start of the year? We're going to have some guys overachieve.
Would you bank on some of these same numbers next year from some of these guys?
No. I don't expect PCA to be a 30 guy again.
That's the answer to that question right there.
I mean, Matthew Boyd's likely not an all-star again. I mean,
PCA is likely not a 30-30 guy again.
Right. And Michael Busch, I can see a 35 homer guy again, with 4 postseason homers, hopefully. But this team wanted to win 90. They won 90. And so here's the problem. We could sit here and be pissed off and yelling at each other. They're internally, they probably look at this as a successful season.
Look, I know I told you this, Guff, when we talked a few days ago. I talked to people in the organization recently. I mean, I'm talking in the last couple of weeks. I've talked to people in the organization. One of them, I got in a really long conversation with about Carter Hawkins being delegated a lot of this work. Carter Hawkins got up in a meeting with executives and development people and scouts and baseball ops people, an organizational meeting. And when some of the stuff was going back and forth, he laid it out. He literally told them, we're trying to win 87 games a year. That it's along the same lines as what DePoto said out loud when he said, you're trying to win 54%, right? Yep. Their Cubs aren't the only ones that do it, but he literally stood up and said, that's our goal, to build a team that can win 87 games a year. When things fall right, you're going to win 92. If things don't fall right, you're going to win 82. And you'll be in it more often than not. I guess in theory, it means at the deadline, if you've got a chance to win, you add. In theory, you do more than you did this year. So again, you can't even explain that within this philosophy. But for what you're charging fans, for what fans expect in this market, for what they give you, that's a pretty piss poor return on their investment. And that, to me, is what's wrong in large part with the game today, but certainly with this organization and the way they run things at the top.
Yeah, look, they lost to a better team. That team is better. They just are. The best player on the field is Jackson Churio, in my opinion. It's not close.
And he was hurt. He played hurt the whole series.
I'm talking about for the whole season. That guy is a stud who's 22 years of age.
He's going to be great.
An absolute stud. Freddie Peralta is better than any pitcher that you have right now, today. Maybe Cade Horton becomes that, but I haven't seen him win 17 games. I haven't.
Maybe a healthy Justin Steele comes back and he's that. But to your point, right now as it stands, Freddie Peralta is the best pitcher.
The other kid, the local kid that they beat the other night, they pounded. Priester. Who do we have that is as good as him? That guy was rolling. Maybe Matthew Boyd comes back and does it again. Maybe Cade Horton does. I hope. I think he will.
There's a little bit of going back to the drawing board with this is the way it feels right now. If you let yourself start looking ahead at next year, it feels like there's stuff to.
I mean, you signed Carson Kelly to be your backup catcher. He was your cleanup hitter.
You talk about overachieving. Yeah.
Again.
Gordon, what pisses me off most about that, what you just said and you reported right there, is it just is so like, remember when Jerry Reinsdorf a couple of years ago, like, didn't know he was on camera and was at that business meeting and said, the best place to be is second place because you carry the fans through the entire season and you're close enough, but you're just not right there, and that you get everything you need. You get asses in the seats, you get excitement on your team, and you don't have to necessarily go sign the $100 million cat because you're doing just enough. And that's what it feels like the Cubs are saying. You're reporting right there. It feels like the Cubs are saying we're doing just enough with this third wild card team to either be the third wild card team or certainly in the hunt all season long to be. And that should frustrate and infuriate people. But that's where this team is. It's the haves that are the Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies who don't really care. They're just going to spend. Then there's all the other teams that are worried about 2027 and strikes. And then there's everybody else that says, well, if you just kind of like hang out over here.
Hey, look at the Diamondbacks in 23. They got to the World Series. They won 83 games and just got in, or 84 games or whatever it was.
And that goes back to what Cap's been sitting here saying for the last 20 minutes. Prospect hugging.
That's what they did.
When you fall in love more with your farm team than the team that you have trotting out there every day for 162, you'll do just enough.
And that's why Carter Hawkins stands up and says, we're playing for 2032 as well.
Yeah, which is one of the more bogus questions, one of the more bogus statements I've ever heard upper management person ever say in this city. Ever. I mean,
it's one of the most disgusting comments I've ever heard an executive say.
And it just feels like this has been going on for a while, this practice in general in the game with a lot of teams, certainly the Cubs. And it seems like it's become so much more commonplace and accepted now. More and more people are saying it out loud, saying the quiet stuff out loud. And it's just like almost as though they don't get why that's so offensive and insulting to the people paying for those expensive seats and paying for the marquee network and buying that merch. They've forgotten what it is to be a fan and what a fan puts into it. I mean, literally with their money, but with their emotion. I mean, you saw Cap tonight. I mean, there's a lot of emotion there, and there has been. Cap's been on a roller coaster for a week now, and that's the fan base. This is what they bring, and they deserve better for what they bring, especially when they're reaching in their pockets.
Yeah, you ask them for a lot. You do. And you owe them a lot. And it's not about the money. I'll say it for the 1,000th time. It's not. The Brewers underspent you by 100 and whatever million, and they beat your ass. It's your refusal. You're not going to play Moises Ballesteros. You're not going to play Owen Casey. Guess what? Then put him in a goddamn trade.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But then you trot him out there in a time of desperation in the 8th inning. Like, what really was your expectation there?
Yeah, well, that at bat was a waste.
Yeah. So you had 6 outs to go, and you went out and you put a guy who hasn't seen a pitch in a week in a position to fail. That's what you did. And he swung at ball 3 and popped it up lazily into left field.
And honestly, you were in a position where you have to devote the DH spot to Kyle Tucker. How are you going to use this guy and get him any regular at bats, even an at bat or two game? There's just it's already trying to shoehorn something in on that one.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I said to my wife when Tucker came up in whatever that was, the 5th or 6th inning, 1st and 2nd, and nobody out, I said, okay, this is the guy who wants $350 to $500 million. Guess what? You know what Aaron Judge does? He hits one off the foul pole in left field. You know what Kyle Tucker does? He strikes out.
Yeah, I'm sitting there watching that thinking, okay, this is not only is this the game, but I expected something to happen in that moment. I expected him to do something. He's been, how many World Series at bats does he have? How many times has he won in the World Series? I expected the way that pitcher started that inning and what he looked like, who he was coming up in that spot. I didn't expect a swing and a miss for strike 3. Expected something.
And move him along at least.
Yeah, productive out. I didn't see a productive at bat, really, other than Game 4 from Kyle Tucker most of this postseason. I mean,
and we talked about the pitching. I know that they didn't score a lot of runs. I know the Brewers didn't score a lot of runs. This is a team all season long that was near the bottom of the league in hitting home runs. And it felt like every time, like tonight, they hit 3. That's how they won the game. They hit 2 3-run homers when they'd never done that in their postseason history. Never mind the kind of team they are this year to win a game earlier in the series. How many home runs did they hit? Guff, do you have that off the top of your head? I mean,
well, they hit 3 tonight. They hit in game 1.
They hit
3 more in game 1. In game 2, they hit over 10 home runs. Remember all of the talk about the Brewers is that's great. They led the majors in wins, but they don't have slug, and you need slug in the postseason. Pretty sure the Brewers showed that they have some slug.
10 home runs in 5
When they had to hit a big spot, they did just that.
Yeah. That's a good team.
Yeah.
Well,
it's more than disappointing to see the season end. Look, the better team won. I'm not mad about that part of it. I'm just pissed off that in the end, your best guy, Kyle Tucker, proved you really don't want to re-sign him.
You should have been mad because, the better team won. You should be mad because they were the better team. Because the first half of the season, they weren't. And your front office sat on their hands at the trade deadline. The Cubs could have been the better team on that field tonight.
Am I right? Am I right that all 3 home runs came with 2 outs?
Almost all their runs, it seemed, in this series came with 2 outs. 2 outs in the first, 2 outs in the fourth, and 2 outs in the 7th. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know some people don't like the way Craig managed tonight with his pitching. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't. I really did not.
Able to score, let's just say,
score 1 run, you're not going to win.
Right. Yeah, not just 1 run, but you had one inning where you had traffic. 1.
Right.
And as we've said, you had first and second, nobody out. You manufactured nothing. You didn't even attempt. And you didn't even
supposed hitter struck out. Your next best hitter hit a line drive to the warning track. And I'm trying to remember who, and then Carson Kelly. I also have to tell you, Carson Kelly swinging at a pitch up here.
Yeah, say it too.
Way out here. Like some of that plate discipline sucked.
And it got worse as the game went on. It was a phenomenon. It's what you talked about before, Guff, and it happened to the Cubs instead of the Brewers.
My buddy Jack just texted me. He said he's a Sox fan. I mean, all Sox. He said, tough loss, but your team went down with respect. Yeah, you got it back to game 5. That takes guts. Tonight, you didn't do anything off that.
Performance too. I mean, when they got down 2-0 to get it to game 5, that says something about him. That's all good.
Totally agree.
You guys will have plenty of. Now it's time for the pod.
There's more to talk about.
Oh yeah,
for the season and the playoffs when we get together in a few days.
What is the most important thing they do in the off season?
Figure out what they're going to figure out. The
Are we putting together a list of who they fire?
They're not firing anybody.
I mean, it's all about Tucker, right? Either you're bringing him back or you're not. And how are you going to replace not just him?
Tucker, and then your next priority has to be what's your pitching staff look like? Because
that's my number 1 priority. Because if you bring Tucker back, what are you doing with Owen Casey?
You have to trade him.
I'm not bringing Tucker back. Tucker ain't coming back to this team.
I'm not bringing him back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he ain't coming back.
But maybe Jed signs him. I don't know.
You need more pitching. You need a lights out dude.
Jed couldn't get more than schmoes at the trade deadline. He ain't bringing Kyle Tucker back.
Let me ask you something. What if Kyle Tucker said to you, I'll do a 1-year deal because we've got a labor thing coming up? Do you sign him?
For how much? $40 million?
Yeah.
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
You got pitching issues. You're getting Justin Steele back off injury. Cade Horton's going to take another step. Shota, to me,
he may have thrown his last pitch because if you don't extend him, he may opt out, and I probably would let him go.
Okay, fine. So now
That's a tough opt-out decision for a guy that finished the way he did.
They got 1 year left of Jamison Tyone. I'll keep him.
Keeping him.
That's 3.
Lucky Boyd's coming back.
4.
But
Jackson Wiggins probably will factor in there.
So
You
there
have
we
a
go.
chance to be in good shape. You should supplement whatever it is you think you have coming back. But if you go spend, you put all your eggs in the Kyle Tucker basket, for instance, if you were to go do that and you don't take care of your pitching, you don't add to that, you don't make sure that that's plumb going into next season, then it really doesn't matter. There you go.
Kittredge, Keller, Theobar, Pomeranz all gone. Why are they all gone? I can re-sign Caleb
That's the
Theobar.
Because you got max out of a couple of those guys.
You don't think Brad Keller's going to get somebody's going to pay like 2 for 14 for Brad Keller. Bye-bye.
Now
See
go
ya.
get somebody else for that.
Drew Pomeranz probably gets like 1 for 7.5, 1 for 6, even though he didn't pitch for 4 years. That's what happens, man. Bye-bye. Gone.
What about Theobar? You're not
spend a little
bringing
bit
him
of
back
money.
either?
Maybe Theobar, but I'm just saying, like, are you spending 2 for 10 or 2 for 12 or 14 for Keller?
There'll be plenty of relievers out there.
I totally agree. Plenty of Theobars, Keller, Pomeranz, Kittredge. You need studs. They need a closer, boys, too. They need a closer.
Daniel Palencia can't be that guy.
He wasn't even that guy for you in the
Look,
playoffs.
if you can
That's
address
true.
the closer, if you can get the closer you want, I don't know who that would be, but if you can go out and get the closer you want in the offseason, go do it. But if you can't, go in with the mix and match again and see where you're at the trade deadline and answer the question then.
But even like Kenley Jansen,
There aren't
like,
that many out there that are slam dunk guys. There
I've
just
been
aren't.
saying this. I've been saying this in the White Sox podcast. Like, why Kenley Jansen signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Angels. Got wasted saves with the Angels. Was fantastic yet again. Like, that would have been a guy, right? You can work backwards from there. I know he's old. But he
Let's
was
see.
still.
Last guy they did something like that with was Kimbrel.
Yeah. Well, I just
I mean,
he
not
did a
counting.
really good job.
I'm just amazed, though. You won 92 games. You won a playoff series, and you lost in Game 5, 3-1. I am amazed. The number of comments here, I haven't put them all up, nor has Guff.
There's a boatload.
I mean, of how negative. Blow it up to quitters. It's just amazing to me.
You of all people know why. This is emotion spilling out right now. These are people that are feeling this right now. You feel it as much as anybody. You're just not expressing it the same way.
Well, he
If you're
did.
behind
Well,
the keyboard,
Gordon, it was expressed. It was
Yeah,
expressed.
you fucking slammed the door on us.
No, I didn't. I just removed myself from the situation.
Yeah,
I took a
okay.
deep breath. I had a little Dr.
Look in
Pepper
this
Zero
calm and
sugar
composed. Sure.
there. Dr.
Sure.
Pepper Zero sugar.
I think you needed Dr. Pepper sugar tonight to be. I think that's what the big miss was. You needed the sugar.
Yeah, maybe no caffeine in it though.
Well, look, it is what it is. The season's over. It's been a hell of a ride. I will say that. To me, it's October 11th. I got a buddy with a dire Cup fan say, honestly, like I figured, like I didn't expect this. It's bonus baseball, which is sad for a fan to say that because you should, as a Cub fan, expect to be here every year. But because of what we've seen out of recency bias, it's been a long ass time.
You know, I tell you what, if this is the end here, this is my last thought on this. You know, we talked about some of these guys and whether they're going to back up their performance next year. A lot of these guys have something to prove next year. Can they do it again? I would say nobody has more to prove in whether they can do it again than that front office. Let's
Our
see
guy-
you get your asses
our
there
guy.
again.
Jerry Bernacchi, our guy. Guff
Really
and I
well
both- Jerry, I wish he's a Sox fan. I wish the Sox had as many quote unquote problems as the Cubs.
Yeah, as I've said, I wish I knew what it was like to have feelings about baseball again.
Yeah.
Well, you guys will have a ton of there's plenty of podcasts to line up here for the coming days and weeks. I could tell you.
Oh man, it's been fun doing it.
Yeah,
These live podcasts. That was a Guff idea. It's been great.
Good call. Good call.
well,
Yeah.
this has been a blast, and
Look at
we've
some
had.
mounds in the back. Look at
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, are they cheering? What are they? Are they cheering or are they drunk? Or are they both?
I think I overheard that guy's a Mariners fan.
Where are you, Gordon?
I'm in Gillette, Wyoming.
Oh wow.
I mean, how about that?
Gillette, Wyoming!
They got as Hawk would say,
Here's
they got
fans
all,
from Gillette right here.
You know what I would do? I would consider signing Framber Valdez.
Yeah. There you go.
there's,
That would go a long way.
there's nobody that I wouldn't consider signing to make my baseball team better. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Whatever it takes, Cap. I'm done watching that team. The fact, if you didn't, as a front office, didn't take it personal tonight that you lost, and there's champagne for the second time this year, champagne being sprayed all over that Milwaukee clubhouse because they clinched the division because they were better than you, and then they did it right in your face to move on to the NLCS. If you don't take that personal as a front office, in my opinion, and you know this, Cap, and Gordon, you too, because the three of us are teammates, they wouldn't be sitting in our office, Cap. They would not. If they don't take that personal, they would not be at the table that you and I sit at every day. There's no chance.
Yep.
Fair. Very fair.
Drop the mic on that.
Well,
I did. I lost. That's it.
that's it. They've got to go out and add a top-end starter, in my opinion, and then have Cade Horton and Justin Steele. Like, if you're seriously trying to win, you go get a top-end starter.
The Dodgers went into the season with 10 starters, 10 legitimate, bona fide all-star candidate starters. Now, some of them were hurt and some of them got hurt, but what did that do? By the end of the year, Blake Snell's back in there dealing. You got Kershaw in the bullpen, who Glasnow's came back at the end. I mean, those guys, now they're the favorites.
Daniel, Trey Skeens. He's not getting –
No.
Skeens is not available, and you couldn't afford to get him. I'm talking about in prospects.
And by the way, Gordon, they're shoving Roki Sasaki at you as a closer. I mean, like, it's
and they still have problems. Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable.
And they're able to put him there.
It's unbelievable.
Dominic says they need a big bat. Where are you playing that big bat? I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm just asking. Where are they putting a big bat? In what spot?
That's what makes Kyle Tucker so perfect.
They need their big bats that they currently have to be big bats. Like, that would help too.
So if you go get a big bat, it's got to be a big bat in right field then.
Or DH, go get Kyle Schwarber.
Yep.
And put Suzuki back in right?
Trade Sam.
Why? Guy hit 30-some bombs, drove in over 100. I need offense.
That you're going to
I don't think Kyle Schwarber would sign with this team.
No.
Wow. It sounded pretty. I heard his post game the other day. It sounded very much like he wants to do everything he can to stay at Philly.
He wants to stay in Philly. They want to keep him. If they can make it work, they will. He might price himself out of there based on where they're at and what they might want to transition to next year. But if he's on the market, he's going to get plenty of offers. I don't think he comes back to Chicago. I don't think there's a scenario that could happen.
Knowledge Untamed. He says, what? Extend Suzuki.
I would not. I need more consistency.
Chad says Bregman is opting out. You want Alex Bregman? Then you'd have to trade Matt Shaw.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
By the way,
you might get something for Shaw right now because he's got the playoff experience. He had enough good moments this season where you might be able to market that, sell it.
Yeah, he'll be a Gold Glove finalist.
Player under club control. Do it.
Yeah, and stop being scared to trade people. Like, it's insane to me. I just don't get it. Like, it's just stop being scared, especially if it makes you better in the immediate. And to be honest with you guys, with 2027 and all that's coming with 2027, go win in 2026 and figure it out. Because as of right now, they're going on strike. Hopefully that changes. But
yeah, that's the other thing. How will it change the industry? Because we know that there is a labor stoppage coming. And shame on the goddamn owners and the players if they allow this to happen.
This is an owner's decision. If this happens, it's on the owners, period. Because they're picking the fight that will cause the shutdown.
I'm afraid they are going to push this thing to the mat to try and get a salary cap.
Well, that's just
fine. But players aren't going to be giving up money back, so good luck.
That's just stupid on their part.
So,
well, it's going to be ugly.
But I will say this: if that slows up the market, Cubs better be ready to pounce on what's available because everybody else is slowing down. They might as well be all in.
Well, all in is 87 wins. You just said it. So.
I know. That's the problem.
And that's an organizational philosophy, and that sucks.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would use that word, but yes, basically you're right.
All right, Cap. Well, hey, bud, I don't want you to snore tonight, you know.
That's a great point. I won't snore.
You won't?
I'm so tired.
Entirely different reason than last time.
No, because my friends at Sinus and Snoring MD fixed me months ago, and now they're a great partner of us here at the Recap. They advertise at ESPN 1000. Sinus and Snoring MD. I don't snore anymore. My wife had a big problem with my snoring. Gordon, you look like a snorer.
You know,
wow.
I'm not.
That's profiling.
Believe it or not. I used to be.
I know Ryan's a snorer.
No. I'm going to sleep just fine tonight.
You're just
You
projecting. You're in a bad mood.
He's gonna end the podcast the way he started. He came at me again. He said, I needed it.
He needs a night of sleep. Yeah. 100%. Sinus and Snoring MD, I went to the office and I sleep like a baby. So if you have sinus issues,
that's one loud baby.
You have allergies, that's your spot. Sinus and snoringmd.com. Take it from a guy who does not snore anymore. They are the best in the business. Sinus and snoringmd.com.
Oh, all right. Well, put a bow on this one, Cap. Take us home because the Cubs are going home, and so are we.
The Cubs don't snore now that they've been put to sleep.
Oh, you know what, Gordon? That's just chicken shit.
Take that.
Yeah, exactly.
Gordon, Gordon, we got the burner's still hot, man. We should just go. You're in Wyoming. Your buddies are ready to go.
Hey, how come I don't have a date line underneath my head here?
What?
Because this isn't the freaking newspaper industry with 8 people reading the paper.
Let Wyoming right there.
Wow. Cap's just going in. Cap's like hitting at the belt all night long.
Everything's freaking personal tonight. God damn.
Yeah. My God. We're not just some random, super chatters that popped in here to give you a question. My goodness.
I can't say take that Milwaukee. That's for sure.
Oh no, that's the last thing you could say it, but it's not going to end well for you.
Well, then I just look like an idiot, and I do that enough anyway. So, all right, gentlemen, a lot of fun. Unfortunate ending, but it is what it is. It'll be a hell of a series, Brewers and Dodgers.
Hell of a series.
I'll be honest, I know they're in our division. I hope the Brewers beat their ass. I do. It would be great for the sport.
I think it would be.
Brewers, Mariners, man. Be off.
Hey, woo! Our Mariner fan from Gillette, Wyoming.
That's right.
There you go. All right, Gordon.
All right, guys.
Gillette, Wyoming. Is there a complete set of teeth in that town?
Oh my! Look at the personal.
I gotta live here tonight.
All right.
I'm getting out of here.
You guys have a great night. Thank you to all of our commenters and viewers and everybody who supports us. Check out the recap of the game up on the channel, and we appreciate you greatly. Take that.